Hey, welcome to SoapboxSlam, where I talk about issues all over the world, country, local, everything else. I get up on my soapbox and I slam what I see going on from my opinion. I have today's topic, such a difficult topic to talk about, and I'm just doing a prelude because I need my receipts in order to really talk about this topic and dive deep. And I will. I will very soon because this topic is important to me. Um, it's about the Palestinian-Israel conflict, and in my heart of hearts, and I talk to my God, and I pray on this. Not even just talking to God, right? If I just sit and meditate and look at history and think independently, not regurgitate what the propaganda is, but sit and think as a human being. In my heart of hearts, listen to the history of human behaviors and human beings. In my heart of hearts, through meditation and prayer and every form of higher vibration understanding, I focused hard on this issue of Palestine and Israel. And my first and most adamant, extreme, I had an argument with a guy that I work with, right? Not an argument, just an argument. We had a very serious discussion. And so I posed the question to you. Our discussion was about the television show Game of Thrones. And we were talking about the last season. And in it, I asked him this one question because we weren't seeing eye to eye on the actions that were taken. And I asked him this final question. The question I asked him, and I pose you the same question. I ask you this question, and take a moment to ask yourself this question and level with yourself and be honest with yourself about your answer. The question is, do you think Daenerys Targaryen was correct in her actions when she burned it to the ground with her dragons in the very end? When she finally had enough and she burned everything down to the ground. She was the most powerful. She had all the power, and she killed everybody in sight. They killed her leadership. They constantly challenged her patience and mercy. She was losing control over how she was viewed in the Seven Kingdoms. And she determined that she was going to level King's Landing, break the wheel, and create a new wheel and free everybody from the wheel. She wasn't going to stop at King's Landing. She was going to keep on. She was a conqueror. I mean, the whole concept of Targaryens is them being conquerors, right? Them with their dragons going into new areas, conquering, settling, sometimes constantly moving on until they find the final place to settle. Like, that's who the Targaryens were. They had the dragons. They had the ultimate strength, right? So I posed to this guy this question: was she correct in her actions? And his response was, oh my God, she was horrible. She became the Mad Queen. She's monstrous. She didn't have to kill everybody. Blah, 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 blah. How horrible of a person she was. Like, she was just so horrible for doing this and everything else, right? And it puzzled me. Why is it that she is so evil? This is war. You constantly taunted this war. You pushed the buttons to that point. And since she was might was right and she had all the power, she exerted her power and did what she could capably do, right? So what she did, since it's war, and she wasn't going to get her way, and she had all the power, she did everything well within her means, right? Might is right. She's right. And that was my position. Actually, what my position was, if you have a policy, or a belief or a system where you say might is right, and because you have all of the power, your actions and everything that you choose to do is the right thing to do because you have the power that says so, then you open up the playing field for anyone who now gets new power and more power than you to be right. Anyways, I posed that question and we didn't see eye to eye, because then I made the comparison to other things in the world that have gone on, that people behave and act in ways where might is right, and so they're in the right to do what they want to do. And let me just state that I abhor the concept of might is right. But if I have to work within the system and I have to play the game, and as Cersei said, if you choose to play the game of Thrones, then you must play to win. Right? If you choose to play the game in Game of Thrones, then you play to win. Okay. If that is the construct that I must work in, then Cersei deserved everything she got. And Daenerys did exactly what she was entitled to do, because they both chose to play the Game of Thrones. Right? So I fast forward that, and like I said, I posed the question to you. Do you think Daenerys was right? If you think Daenerys is right, then there's no problem with might is right. And everything she did to King's Landing was justified. No problem. If you do not think what she did was right, and there's levels and gradations to what you can and cannot do, well, then I think that you are constantly moving the goalpost to fit your own agenda and needs, and I don't think that you are playing the game fairly. So there's another option. The other option is you don't play the game at all. That's the other option, right? Don't engage. This is all philosophical. Maybe I'm making sense. Maybe I'm not making sense. But I always think about this discussion with the guy about Daenerys, because he was so offended by what Daenerys decided to do. And in my mind, I'm like, this happens all the time. I mean, that's a TV show, but might is right, and going through and just leveling everything because you have the power to do it. It happens all the time. And so I tie that back to Palestine and Israel. And I want to make clearly that I'm being very careful in what I say right now, because before I really go in, I want to be sure that I'm in front of my green screen and I have all my receipts, right? I have all of my source documents. I have all of my proof, because I have a different opinion and I am anti-Zionist and making this post and everything else, I am automatically deemed as an anti-Semitic. And that is so evil and hurtful to say, because I love all human beings. I may have some prejudices and I may have some bigotries, but the truth of the matter is, regardless of those the prejudices and bigotries, it doesn't make me a racist, because I don't believe anybody is superior to anybody. I just don't believe it. There isn't anything that I think that makes one group superior than another group, because I see everybody as human beings. We are all people, and I cannot wait until the aliens come down and finally human beings say, oh my God, we're all the same. It's them who's different, and then we finally unify, right? Like, I just see everybody as everybody. And I'm not sure everybody is at that level of enlightenment yet. But we can get there, and I can't wait for people to get there. So I am not anti-Semitic. I love all people. I love Jewish people, even though they do not love me. Some of them, and this is overgeneralizations. And please know that as I'm talking in direct response to the current Israeli administration and the current Zionist exploitation that is occurring, the Zionist colonization that is occurring. I condemn wholeheartedly Hamas, Hezbollah, and any group, Muslim group, that is predetermined to eradicate the Jewish existence of people or state, and the American, because they hate the Americans too. They want to kill me too because I'm an American. And for that, they are utterly, utterly deplorable. They're subhuman, they're unsophisticated, and they are the worst of human behavior and humankind, and human nature. And I don't know what can be done, but I would love to know what can be done to tamp out and get rid of this hatred that they have, right? It can't be just religious. And the other thing I would say about this is the Palestinian-Israeli issue is this isn't just something religious too. This is an economic thing that we're not really paying attention to as to why this is so important, why it's so important to Israel, and why it's so important to the United States and everything else. So there's a two-pronged thing happening around here, and I haven't got all the receipts on that yet. But it has a lot to do with what Benjamin Netanyahu did at the UN as far as creating this new pipeline path that goes into the Ben Negan canal that they want to create, or whether we continue to use the Suez Canal. And who becomes the major exporter of the oil resources in that area? Will it be Israel at the helm, or will it be OPEC at the helm? I mean, that's a big issue here that we're really not paying attention to, and it's turned into it's like the mask is this religious thing, but the real thing that's going on is this financial geopolitical thing, and resource and power issue that's not being talked about. So we're seeing the religious issue, but we're not seeing this economic interest part. So, again, without having all my receipts and being in front of the green screen so I can receipt all of this and show you my source material, I would say that those are the two issues that are going on between Israel and Palestine. And it's two fronts. There's the religious front, and then there's this geo-economic kind of resource part, this economic resource part that we're not seeing. I feel like in my heart of heart, that's the real thing. Like I said, I've prayed, meditated, asked for clarity about all this. And the bottom line is the extermination and genocide of the Palestinian people is wrong. It's utterly wrong. Hamas and Hezbollah and any group that its sole mission is to wipe out Israel is utterly wrong. And everybody, and I think people completely condemn that. Even the Arab cultures are completely condemning that. If Iran is fueling the fires for them, we got issues with Iran. But that does not absolve Israel. Because the initial problem is the bottom line is there needs to be a two-state solution. And if there is no two-state solution, then I have a solution. And I've said it before. My most extreme solution, since we have all the power, I don't want to fund this crap anymore. I don't want my taxes going to this crap anymore. I'm not interested in this anymore at all. When I have my receipts and I go in front of the green screen and really dive into this issue, I will give you my full-on plan. But my most animalistic, resorting to my most animalistic, detestable behavior says, since I have all the power, I blow all of you guys up. Arabs and Jews. I demolish the entire area. I have all the power. If I am Daenerys, and we are playing the Game of Thrones, and I have all the power, I'm doing what Daenerys did. I'm destroying all of King's Landing. I'm going to destroy all of the Middle East. I'm getting rid of everybody. And then what I will do is make it a world park. Nobody gets it. Nobody gets the Game of Thrones. I will be the one to destroy it all. Level it to the ground. Since I have all the power and I have all the might, and we're playing the Game of Thrones and might is right, then I will take it away from all of you. None of you will get it. That is my power. And since I have the power to do it, I will do it. That is my most animalistic, subhuman thought. Just so you know. And I think everybody else should think that way too. Especially the ones who have all the power. That's what we should do. Blow it up and level it all to the ground. Use our power to take it away from these people, period. That's what we should do. Since we're playing the Game of Thrones and might is right. Just a thought, right? Obviously, that's not what's going to happen. Obviously, I am a blue-collar worker and I have no means or connections to anybody to be a terrorist and execute that plan. This is all about hypothetically in the Game of Thrones, and we're playing the Game of Thrones, and I have all the power. All of this is pathetic and disgusting and subhuman. So where do we go from here? Again, I will be in front of my green screen and bring out my receipts and have proof and source material to really dig into this. And there are tons of material out there. YouTube and Facebook and everything else. There's tons of material out there that displays both sides of the story. But one of the most important things I want to say, as I've reached deep into my inner soul, and I have asked God and the ancestors and the spirits, and I've meditated and harmonized to a higher vibration about this. Right now, the United States of America is on the wrong side of this. And right now, unfortunately, the Republican Party is on the wrong side of this. And so is the Democratic Party. We are all on the wrong side of this. We really are. And if you search your deepest depths of soul, if you really search it in God's name, in the name of every spiritual being, the single God, the multiple gods, in the vibration of the earth, if you just meditate and feel the earth, especially if you're close to that area, if you just feel the earth and what she is telling you, we are on the wrong side of this. And I'm not saying that we have to abandon Israel. It's not what I'm saying by us being on the wrong side of this. But what we do have to do is spank our child. And Israel is our child. They are our child. Unfortunately, Nikki Haley made the comment that Israel doesn't need us, we need them. I mean, that was a good kudos point. But Israel needs us. They are our child. All of this is our responsibility. We broke it. We own it. It's our responsibility. It's technically England's responsibility. They broke it. They own it. But since we are a proxy of England, we are not only the proxy of England and what England has done with its world empire. We're an extension of that, right? You, I mean, if you can't take that as a premise, then our conversation can't proceed. But I accept that as the premise. And so since we are the proxy and the leader or the puppet in front of what England has done in colonization and history, since we are the puppet that take the lead and lead the mantle, Israel is our child. They are our child. They are our responsibility. We broke it. We own it. And we're letting the child tell us what to do. We're letting the child tell us what to do. And we're letting the child run around like a spoiled brat. And you want to call me an anti-Semitic Jew for this bad joke? We're letting our childs be Japs, Jewish American princesses, right? Oh my God. Cancel Sean because he used a bad word. He said Jap. So horrible. We're letting our brat dictate to us what they want to do. And we are not strong enough to spank our child. And we have to spank our child. Because right now, the Democrats and the Republicans and this constant defense of they have a right to defend themselves, we're going to fund them unconditionally and da-da-da. It's the wrong side. I'm not saying we abandon Israel. I don't believe we should abandon Israel at all. I don't necessarily agree that they have a God-given right there. They don't have a God-given right to create any constitution or any state until their Messiah arrives. And their Messiah has not arrived. The Christian Messiah arrived, but the Jewish Messiah has not arrived. So they are not allowed to have a state per their own Torah law. No God has ordained them to be in this area. They were kicked out when the Romans destroyed the second temple and they all left. They lost it. Twice the Israeli Jewish Hebrews twice have been kicked out of that area because of their relationship to God and failure to God. That is why their Messiah is the only one that can bring them back to the homeland and allow them to establish a state. I mean, I'm not 100% Jewish and have read the Torah altogether, but I have a lot of compassion and empathy and love for the Jewish religion. And I have asked a lot of questions and investigated. I've talked to my friends like Sagig, who grew up in a kibbutz. And, you know, I have challenged my inner spirit and love for all humanity, including the Jewish people. So this is not anti-Semitism. This is not anything against the religion of Judaism or the genetic descendants of Hebrew Israelis. It's nothing against either or. It's just what I know in my heart to be true, and I have a relationship with God, and I know in my heart as I talk to him and pray on it and read and research, not just the Holy Book, New and Old Testament, but everything that I can get my hands on to understand this. This has been going on for years, and all of my life I have been heartbroken over the Palestinian-Israeli issue. This isn't the first time wars broke out among them. I can remember being in New York City when I lived there and going to 14th Street Union Square to listen to the two sides battle it out in Union Square with their megaphones and try to negotiate and talk to each other over the issue. And me just sit there in my heart of hearts, closing my eyes and listening to the tones, the intonations, the timbre, the resignations of their voice and what they're trying to say. Listen, feel, hear, because we are on the wrong side of this. And we have to get it right. We have to. That's God's lesson. That is his lesson. That is Mother Earth's lesson. You guys have to hear it. You have to stop with your own agendas and your own greed and your own manipulations and propagandas. You have to stop. And I'm pleading with you guys to do so. So that's my talk about Israel for now and Palestine for now. And let me be clear before I wrap this up. Any group, Hezbollah, Hamas, the Arab nations that feel the need to eradicate the Jewish people, they're wrong. Because we are all people and we all deserve to be here no matter who we choose to believe in or whatever else. You're wrong. You have to figure out another way to articulate and live among a different type of person. Period. Point blank. We are all human beings. To the Israelis and the Zionists, it's not the Israelis, to the Zionists who are manipulating this entire ordeal, you're wrong. You have become Nazis. You have become the very nasty thing that you ran away from Europe for. You are absolutely that. You learned it very well and you are mastering what the Nazis did. That's who you are. That's your identity. And it's overgeneralizations and there are outliers and there are plenty of people who don't believe in the Zionists. And I'm not talking to you. I'm not. I know you are not one monolithic group as Jews. I know that. But the leadership and the position and what you have the American people supporting, I'll say American elected representative elitists supporting, we're not on the right side. That's the religious aspect of it, and the geopolitical aspect where we're trying to steal resources so we don't have to deal with OPEC. I don't know that I want to be on that side of it either for that reason either. The answer to we don't even need to be in the Middle East. We need to be our own energy exporters. Period, point blank. If all of this really is about resources and energy and policies over that, let them battle it out because we can supply it to everybody. And that's the right side of everything. We stand up for Israel and we don't allow anybody to attack Israel, but we only act in our own interest as far as a geopolitical, economic kind of resources of what's our best interest. That's the answer. So I'm trying my best with this topic. This topic hurts. It hurts so much. It really hurts so much, this going on, because it feels and it looks exactly like colonization. It feels like apartheid. It looks like apartheid. It looks like mass incarceration. It feels like mass incarceration. It feels like whites against blacks. It feels like KKK against blacks in the South. It feels like Afrikaners against South Africans. It feels like all of that, all wrapped up in the Middle East. And if this is a religious thing, we have not learned the lesson that God has sent down from what the Americans had to deal with, the South Africans had to deal with, and what colonization and slavery had to deal with. We're on the wrong side. I believe that, and that does not make me anti-Semitic. I actually love the Jewish culture, and I would love for the Jewish culture to get this right. So that's my slam. That's my soapbox. I will revisit this topic, and when I do revisit this topic, I will be presenting all the receipts, and it's not going to be easy and it's not going to be fun, but it will be backed by source material. Thank you.